Have you ever wondered why we eat cows, sheep, chickens, but you almost never see lion, wolf, or eagle meat on a restaurant menu? Isn't meat just meat? What's even stranger is that different civilizations around the world, from the Middle East to the North Pole, even though they had no contact with each other, almost all reached the same conclusion. Predators are not good food. But why? The reason isn't just religion, and it's not just culture either. Behind this story, three strange laws of nature are hidden. Before we uncover the secret of this story, do me a small favor. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because on this channel, we're going to explore the things that are hidden behind the ordinary events of the world every time. Now let's get back to the main question. Why do we never eat the meat of predators? To understand this, we need to go back to one of the most important discoveries in the science of nature. In 1942, a scientist named Raymond Lindemann explained something that clears up this entire story: the 10% energy transfer rule. Nature is kind of like a giant pyramid. The sun provides energy. Plants store that energy. Then a cow comes along and eats those plants. But of all the energy it takes in, only about 10% turns into its own meat and body. Now a lion comes and hunts that cow. From that energy, only a very small amount reaches the lion. In other words, the higher you go up the food chain, the less energy there is. That's why raising cows, sheep, or chickens for food makes sense. But raising a predator animal like a lion, it's almost an economic nightmare. You'd have to feed it a huge number of other animals just so it can turn into a piece of meat. Nature has given a clear message from the very beginning. Predators weren't meant to be eaten. They were meant to hunt. But the problem isn't just the lack of energy. There's another danger that's much more terrifying. Something scientists call biomagnification, the accumulation of toxins in living things. In nature, every living creature takes in a certain amount of dangerous substances, from water, soil, plants, and the surrounding environment. A plant has a small amount of these substances. A herbivore eats the large number of those plants and accumulates more. Now, a predator like an eagle comes along and, over its lifetime, hunts hundreds of those animals. The result? All those dangerous substances gradually build up in its own body. A real example: when a substance called DDT was being used, this poison entered the water. Fish absorbed it. Bald eagles in America, which ate the fish, accumulated a very large amount of this toxin in their bodies. The result? Their eggshells became thin, and their population was pushed to the brink of extinction. Now, imagine a human regularly eating the meat of a predator. In reality, they're taking everything that animal has collected in its body over the years and putting it directly into their own body. But one of the strangest stories is related to a real expedition to the Antarctic. In 1911, an Australian explorer named Douglas Mawson set out on one of the hardest journeys in history. But on the way back, everything went wrong. Their food ran out. The cold was destroying them. To stay alive, they were forced to kill and eat their sled dogs. But a big mistake happened. Mawson didn't know that the liver of carnivorous animals contains an extraordinarily high amount of vitamin A. He ate the dogs' livers, and his body went into severe poisoning. His skin started peeling, his hair fell out, his nails detached, and one of his companions didn't survive this incident either. Later, an important rule became well known among polar explorers: never eat the liver of predators. Even the liver of a polar bear has so much vitamin A that it can be deadly for humans. Now we reach the strangest part of the story. Thousands of years before anyone knew anything about toxins, food chains, or vitamin A, people had already discovered a similar rule. In Jewish texts, animals like cows, sheep, and goats were considered suitable for eating, but predator animals and scavengers were set aside. In Islam, almost the same rule exists. Predator animals that hunt with fangs and birds of prey that hunt with claws were declared haram. The strange part of the story is this: two different cultures, thousands of kilometers apart, without knowing anything about each other, reached a similar conclusion. Why? Because humans had thousands of years of experience. They saw which things were better for the body and which were more dangerous. They may not have known the scientific reason, but they could see the result. So the next time someone asks, why don't we eat lion meat? The answer is, because nature, human experience, and modern science, all three say the same thing. The higher you go up the food chain, the more dangerous it becomes to eat. Predators were meant to rule in nature, not to be our food. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next ones.